We are live. All right, 7:30 on Sunday night from the front porch. So we're actually doing Front Porch live on the front porch 2 weeks in a row. First time this year, I think. Seems like we have been gone more weekends than we've actually been here. I thought about not doing one tonight because it is Father's Day. I don't want to take you away from your families. If you're a father and you're watching this, obviously I'm hoping you're spending some good time with your family today, and I just want to encourage you a little bit. If you are watching this and you're not a father, you still have a father, and whether you had a good relationship with your father, whether your father's still around, whether your relationship is mainly with our Father in heaven, at any rate, Father's Day affects all of us, and so I hope to all of you across the country that you're getting some time with your father, if he's still with us, that you're able to reconcile with your father if you've had some difficult times with your father, and just that we can talk a little bit about dads tonight, the importance of dads, and why, frankly, the lack of dads, the lack of fathers in our culture today is truly at the root cause of virtually every major issue that we're dealing with, from a lack of leadership in our politics to just the culture itself falling apart, to the fact that we have so many spoiled brats running around, in many ways running the cultural centers of our nation, and then just youth out of control, and the things that we see in the streets today. Virtually every one of those things you can trace back to the lack of fathers. So I think it is important for us to hit that issue a little bit tonight, and spend a little time talking about that one. So let's see here, Rhett. I do not have the ability to pull up the Q&A, so I may need you to feed me questions if you don't mind doing that, buddy.
Okay.
And, just for some reason not able to get there on this iPad. I normally have my laptop and don't have it with me tonight. So anyway, if you got questions, comments, please throw them in there. We didn't send out anything about tonight. I forgot to do that. No, I forgot. I just decided not to do the email and posts and all that, again, because hopefully everybody's busy with family. So I'm going to keep it short and sweet tonight, hit on some of those things that are vitally important. As you'll notice, different hat tonight, donning the cowboy hat. And I know for all of you with cowboy hat etiquette, I get it. It's the middle of summer. I'm not supposed to be wearing black felt. Should be wearing a white straw hat and all that good stuff. But I never liked the white straw hat. I always liked the black felt hat. I don't know. Maybe in another life I would have been one of the bad guys. Maybe I would have been one of the black hat guys instead of the white hat guys. I don't know. But at any rate, just always was the hat that I preferred, which also tells you I'm not a real cowboy. I'm a wannabe cowboy, because a real cowboy would definitely have a straw hat for the summer. But I do like the Texas look, and I thought I would honor Texas a little bit tonight with the cowboy hat because, frankly, Texas is coming back. Have you noticed that even our dictator politician governor has been forced to finally take a stand on the border? He had a chance to do it months ago when the legislature would have been willing to do that. Brian Slayton's bill would have built the border wall and all that good stuff, and it wasn't important enough to Governor Abbott to do so. But yeah, if that's okay, you won't need it.
No.
Okay, good. I can see who all's joining us and say howdy to folks. I like that much better. Anyway, so yeah, Abbott has been forced by the grassroots, by Daniel Horowitz. Actually, it's kind of funny. Daniel tweeted at him, and he actually tweeted back and started doing exactly what Daniel has been proposing. All of us in the conservative, grassroots, understanding the problem folks, we've been saying for years that Texas should step up and build the border wall ourselves if we had to, that Texas should not allow for the things that are happening, that the federal government has failed on immigration, that states do have a duty and responsibility to step up and be a part of this. I'm actually going to be working on some constitutional minutes with regard to Article 1, Section 9, Article 1, Section 10, and going through some of those things. Normally we talk about the don'ts for states, but there are some exceptions to that when you're literally being invaded, when there is no time to wait for appeals in the court process for years, and you've got to do what you got to do to preserve freedom and protect your people, protect your landowners. So there are some good things coming down the pike. So Texas, hopefully on the rebound. We've been under the thumb and the boot of the dictator Abbott for a year, But because Don Huffines announced that he was running for governor and is running a great campaign, Chad Prather running for governor, because Sid Miller almost ran for governor, and because Alan West is he's just on the verge of potentially running for governor, just that threat alone has been enough for Greg Abbott to be forced into finally doing some of the things that we've been trying to get him to do forever. So that's all good. That just tells you the process is working. Whether or not he actually gets it done, we'll see. But Ron DeSantis is sure helping. Thank you, Florida, for sending being willing to send law enforcement to Texas, and for Ron DeSantis answering that call from Doug Ducey, governor of Arizona, and Greg Abbott, governor of Texas. So anyway, good for Texas. Let's get back to dads, man. I think my greatest honor in life is being a dad and a granddad. I've always said it's not as important what's happening in the White House or the State House as what's happening in your house, what's happening in my house. I think our role as parents and grandparents is more important than anything else that we do. So for me as a father, as a grandfather, today's a really, really special day. And so I want to thank my dad for setting an incredible example. My father has always been my best friend. He was my best man in my wedding. And it wasn't that he coddled me as a kid and said, I want to be your buddy. No, he was a dad that disciplined me when I needed it, that pushed me hard when I needed it, that gave me perspective and wisdom and advice and all of those things all my life when I needed it. And that made him my best friend, and has always been that way. I've had the privilege of doing business with my dad. Patriot Academy exists because of my dad and my wife and me, the three of us coming up with that idea and creating that entity. Wouldn't have happened if my dad hadn't been there. Who knows? Kara and I might have come up with it on our own, but I don't know. My dad has always been that way, able to just plant those seeds and pull out of us what God had put in us. I think that's a gift of parents that really understand that calling as parents to call that out in our children, that inside them God's put a desire in their hearts, and for us to be able to pick up on what that is. What are they good at? What are they not just good at, but what are they brilliant at? What do they tend to do way better than most people? As parents, we should see that really before anybody else, and then encourage that and find ways to pull that out and to help them improve on that thing. And my dad was always a master at that. And so, Dad, I love you. I don't know if you're watching tonight, but I love you and I appreciate you. And I'm just thankful for that. Thank you for being steadfast. Thank you for getting through the tough times. My dad wasn't perfect. I mean, he made mistakes and had difficult financial days and super successful financial days. He had difficult family days, and has been somebody that stuck through it, that was there for me and my sisters no matter what. So love you, Dad. Hope that you are honored today on Father's Day, and that you know how special you are to us. And I'm so glad that my kids have had you as Pawpaw, and that now my grandkids get to have you as Pawpaw. So I also want to say thank you to my father-in-law, T-Paw, who is what my grandkids call him. Terry Kyle, another great example. It's one thing that my kids have had great examples in their grandparents, and seeing the marriages and the family time and the commitment, the hard work ethic, the creativity. I mean, all those things, they just got to see that modeled. So T-Paw, happy Father's Day to you as well. And my granddads are not still with us, but I do want to say that my grandpa Green, who is I'm the namesake of, so I'm Richard Arlen Green Jr. My dad is Richard Arlen Green. My grandfather was Arlen Green, and so my grandson, my son is Richard Arlen Green III, and his son is Richard Arlen Green IV, and we call him Arlen. So he's another Arlen in our family. But my grandfather, Arlen Green, was really the catalyst for investing in my dad in the way that he did, and bringing such wisdom to the table. And I'll just never forget the times that I got to spend with my Grandpa Green. So anyway, enough about my family. I hope that you're experiencing some of those same things with your family today, and honoring your dad, and thanking him and your grandpa for the influence that they were in your lives. I read a great article on the Daily Wire. It was actually from months ago, but it was just such a great article about dads and about the importance of fathers, and the importance of of manly men, masculine men that are willing to sacrifice, willing to fight, willing to stand in the gap, willing to lay down their lives. And the article actually suggested a movie, A Bridge Too Far, which is an old war movie that has Anthony Hopkins and Robert Redford and just a bunch of actors that you would know today while they were young. And the article was just about the fact that, those World War II guys, they were willing to sacrifice and do things at 18, 19, 20, 25 years old that we can't even imagine today. And we need to change that. It's time. In fact, this Father's Day is a good time for us to dedicate ourselves back to restoring healthy masculinity. They keep calling it toxic masculinity. Well, the toxic poison is a lack of masculinity. That's what's killing the culture, is a lack of masculinity. We need more masculinity. It's part of why our families, why we're UFC fans. I get it that that's maybe too violent for some of you out there. I think we need more masculinity. I think we need more of men fighting hard and working hard and having that dedication to a sport or to a calling or whatever it might be. And the respect. That's one of the things that I so love about the UFC is the respect that these warriors have for each other before and after the fight. Most of the time, obviously, you get some jerks in there, but most of the time. You find that in martial arts. You find that respect and that healthy sparring and iron sharpening of each other. Well, we need that intellectually as well, and that's what Patriot Academy is all about: is bringing people together to sharpen each other's countenance. And I'm excited to be headed out for Idaho. We've got our first Patriot Academy in Idaho next week. Be our first Patriot Academy on the ground in person. Wow, in 2 years. That's hard to believe after all the academies that we've had over the years in all these different states. So we're excited to be headed up to Idaho and got a lot of great Patriots coming out. Chris Dunham's going to be going with us. It's going to be fun. And then in a few weeks, we'll be in Delaware for another Patriot Academy. And then our big Texas Academy is going to happen at the Texas Capitol here, our National Academy, first week of August. And we have maxed out on the student applications. If you want to still get one in, go for it. You'll be on the waiting list. If some people have to cancel, you might could still get in. But it'll be our largest Patriot Academy we've ever had. There's some pent-up demand out there, I think, and the fact that we've grown as much as we have over the last year with the coach program and all the other things is just really super, super encouraging. And another thing I want to point out and be encouraging with y'all tonight about is the fact that look at all of the dams still breaking loose across the country. So you've got a lot of states now that are lifting the mask mandates, lifting the stay-at-home orders, or not stay-at-home orders, but the shutdown orders and all the other things. I mean, it's finally starting to loosen up. I am seeing more and more people walking around without masks. So I get it. There's still some people out there that are going to hold on to their mask maybe until the day they die, which may be sooner than it would have been had they not worn a mask for so long, because they would have had more oxygen to their brain and their body and not been breathing all those horrible bacteria that are in the mask. If you didn't see that group of Florida moms that had their kids' masks tested and the grotesque stuff that was in these masks, I mean, that's what people are having their kids breathe all day when they require their kids to mask or they allow someone else to require their kids to be masked. So parents, come on, you got to do better. Do not require your kids to wear a mask. Don't let your kids wear masks, and don't let anybody else make your kids wear masks. Come on, step up. Let's be adults and stand up to these idiots out there that have masked our country for the last year. They're not scientists. They're not leaders. They're followers, and they're part of the Faucian experiment that has been awful for our country. And he's finally being shown to be the fraud that he was from the beginning. So the good news is that those things are coming out. Doesn't mean the pain's going to stop, all right? We've made some bad decisions as a country, and we're going to experience a lot of pain over the next few years as a result of that. I'm not being a doomsdayer. I'm just being realistic. You can't sow what we've sown in this country and expect to reap, beautiful times. It's just not going to happen. So look, inflation is already here. It's going to get worse. You need to be making good financial decisions with regard to that right now. And just understand, you can't dump $10 trillion on the marketplace and not have inflation. You can't tell people not to work, we'll pay you anyway, and expect the economy to not just take a little blip of a hit, but really have problems for years to come. So anyway, those things are out there, but the good news is, even in the midst of all of that turmoil and the bad decisions of our country, We are seeing a revival in our nation of constitutional principles and biblical values. People are hungry for truth. I'm telling you, this biblical citizenship class is taking off. It grows every week. I think we're up to roughly 1,000 classes this year across the country. We've got classes happening. Scarlett Lanny's class out in California, over 400 people showing up every week. They're in the overflow room. We've got one like that in Washington State and Pennsylvania. I mean, think about the states that I'm naming right now. These are not buckle of the Bible Belt red states, all right? These are two of those are very blue states, and one is a purple state. I mean, that is good news, folks. It's good news. People are hungry for truth. So let's be the ones that speak that truth. Let's be the ones that teach that truth, and you can be one of those catalysts. So make sure that you sign up and you're a part of our biblical citizenship classes. So sign up to be a Constitution coach today. In fact, it'd be a great way, fathers out there, for you to help others learn what it means to be good fathers. Become a Constitution coach and teach them the principles of liberty. Then become a father of liberty in your community. Okay. United Airlines can't get enough workers to run all their flights. That's actually probably a good thing, since they now use affirmative action to choose their pilots. Ridiculous. Okay, let's... Yeah, no, I think that's a concern, that it's not truly opening up, but it's that there's now becoming the two economies and the two, we're gonna really differentiate people based on whether or not they're vaccinated. That's going to happen in some places. Listen, in the blue states, I think you can fully expect that, and we're going to have lawsuits, and we're hopefully going to win some of those suits eventually. But I'm not counting. Look, the courts have failed us for a year. COVID should have lasted a month. The whole shutdown thing should have lasted no more than a month. Emergency orders from courts should have shut that stuff down back in April of last year. So the fact that we're still there, that just tells you the courts aren't going to do their job. We failed miserably in our law schools across the country. We've raised up a bunch of folks that don't believe in constitutional principles. Those are your judges now, and many of your attorneys. So that's going to take a generation to turn around. That's why we need law schools like Regent and law schools like Liberty to do what they've been doing and raising up those who are now fighting back. But you've got really bad ground, really bad soil in the nation from a legal perspective. So it's going to take a while to get past that. So yeah, BK or whoever put that in there, I think you're right. You're going to experience that more and more in especially your left-wing part of the nations. In terms of the discrimination against those who choose not to get vaccinated. I loved, by the way, this. Somebody helped me with the football player's name. He posted. He said, because the NFL is saying if you're not vaccinated, you can't play. And this guy said, "Fine, I'll retire, but there is no way that I'm getting the vaccine, and there's no way you're going to shut me up." And he said to everybody. Everybody can know I am not getting vaccinated. So I'm being public with it. If you don't want to be around me, fine, avoid me. Don't come to my house. Don't go to anywhere that I'm at. But I'm going to choose freedom, and I'm going to choose a good medical choice here. I can't remember the guy's name, but no, it was like Bailey or something like that. Anyway, I don't follow the NFL anymore because it's all a bunch of spoiled brats for the most part. But this guy obviously is not. He's like 33, so he must be a 10-year veteran. At any rate, all of that to say, BK, you're right. This discrimination, that's going to be the medical freedom will be the civil rights fight. Beasley, that's it. Yes, Cole Beasley. Thank you, Rhett. That's going to be the medical freedom is going to be the fight of the next few years for sure. And I can't predict how that's going to come out. I wish I could give you real clear choices and say, oh, no, we'll definitely win. I mean, there's horrific discrimination taking place. So that might be a reason to move to a more conservative area. It certainly is a reason, but I agree with Daniel Horowitz. Name me a conservative area where we're truly winning all those battles. So it's going to be tough to navigate this over the next year or so. So we're going to be hopefully helping to lead the charge on that and providing some sanctuary counties where you are not discriminated against. I think there's going to be a few states like Texas and Florida that will become fully statewide. I mean, I get it. You've got governors saying I'm going to not allow a vaccine passport, but that is not enough. I mean, you're definitely going to have to fight the lawsuit in Houston, for instance. I mean, we've already had it thrown out. We're having to appeal. My buddy Jared Woodfield's doing that suit with that hospital that's requiring vaccines to keep your job. So this is going to be an ongoing fight. It's about control. It's not about health. The pandemic is over. It's been over for a long time. In many ways, it wasn't one in the first place, but It's over, but they're still going to push this because it's not about health. It's about control. It's about micromanaging your life. So anyway, yeah, good point, BK. All right, what Rhett, if you'll help me out with questions, any that we need to hit, and then we'll encourage everybody to get back to their families for Father's Day. Chuck, that's good. If Texas needs anything else from Florida, send me a list. Yeah. Florida, you're still doing the best. Wow, Rhonda Schaefer, great to see you. Long time. Let's see here. Trying to scroll through and find some questions. Oh, that's cool, Brownie. You inherited your dad's Stetsons. That's awesome. Mine's a Justin. This is a Justin hat here. Had a Stetson when I was younger. Man, I could dance in my hat even. I could swing, two-step, never knock that sucker off. Yeah, been a long time. I don't know if I could still do that, but I could do that back in the day. Oh, no way, Makai. You just watched A Bridge Too Far yesterday, and I'm sitting here talking about it? That's you the man. You are a good man, Makai. Okay. Just because you didn't, I don't know. This is kind of weird. I just ate some of your barbecue sauce yesterday. That is not, I'm not kidding. Not an exaggeration. I just had some just yesterday. I'm almost out, by the way. We got to talk about that. Anyway, all right. What else? Yeah, if you don't want to we talked about last week, natural immunity is better than the vaccine. So unless you're in that category that's likely to die from COVID, which is a very, very small percentage of people, why would you get the vaccine? It just doesn't make any sense to me. You got to do a cost-benefit analysis on all of those types of health decisions. Okie dokie, folks. I'm going to keep it short and sweet. I think that's about it. Rhett, anything you see that we definitely need to hit?
Do you have any reactions to the G Summit? The summit meeting with all the world leaders and Biden.
Oh, the G7? It was embarrassing. Joe Biden is an embarrassment every day. But this time it was on a world stage more so than his typical press conference. And, I'll say this. This baloney about how other countries supposedly respect us more and all that. You know what they like? You could see it all over Boris's face the whole time. They love the fact that America's leader at this point is the crazy old uncle that these other countries can stick in the corner and tell him when it's his turn to smile for the camera so that they can now lead the show. The world, not just America, the world is being led by a bunch of morons right now. If you watch the G7 summit and you look at these idiots stand there with their masks on and then take their masks off to sit down because COVID doesn't hit you if you're sitting down. It's only if you're standing. These are the morons that run the country. And it's unbelievable what they've done to destroy so many lives. Anyway, so I just think G7 was an embarrassment. It tells you how much trouble we're in as a world. And when America doesn't lead, what the rest of the world ends up doing. Just imagine if America had led better through all this. And I blame Trump for not doing a better job with COVID as well and letting Fauci have the stage that he did. But we would have led the rest of the world out of this a year ago if we had done the right thing. So anyway, yeah, G7 was an embarrassment. Biden was an embarrassment. You guys probably saw the clip where he chews out the CNN reporter for simply asking a tough question of him. I know I'm already wrong. I'll eat my crow right now. I said he wouldn't last 6 months. It's been 6 months. Has it been a full 6 months? What is this? Is this June? No, it hasn't been a full 6 months. I might still be right. We'll see. I said he wouldn't last 6 months. He's getting close. Even some of the Democrats are starting to realize they've got to get this guy off the national stage. You can't leave the nuclear codes with this fella. It's obvious the cognitive function is not there. And the cuteness of the crazy old uncle and the sweet old grandpa or whatever, that doesn't last very long. I know everybody realizes the embarrassment that Kamala Harris would be, but you still have to do. The Constitution is very clear. The 25th Amendment is to be invoked whenever the president cannot fulfill the duties and powers of the presidency. That's the two words, the duties and the powers of the presidency. This guy is not capable of doing either of those things under the Constitution. And she would be inept in terms of her decisions. Her cackling would not be enough. But it is what it is. All right, that's the world that we have unfortunately been handed through a stolen election. So at least the socialism that this administration is pushing through, if Kamala Harris was the face of it, I think more people would question it. The crazy old man, sweet old grandpa being the face of it makes a lot of, your average low IQ voters, as Rush Limbaugh used to call them out there. It makes them fall for it and think, yeah, we're just helping people and all of that nonsense. So I frankly think, even though she's going to be another level of embarrassment and crazy and all that good stuff, it'll make the socialist agenda sink faster. It'll make them fall quicker. And so anyway, but just from a constitutional perspective, you gotta do the right thing, and that is get this guy off out of the White House and invoke the 25th at some point. So
in the day and age of cancel culture over pretty much everything, but especially like racial slurs, stuff like that, what's your thoughts on Joe Biden's son's messages coming out from his computer of all those racial slurs and stuff?
Yeah, no doubt. By the way, give me liberty or give me death. How do you like that coffee mug? Yeah. Where are the Hodge twins when I need them? Yeah. Listen, Hunter Biden is a horrible human being. I mean, look, we're all sinners. We're all horrible human beings at some level of depravity, right? But hopefully we're working to change that and let God work in our lives and renew us. This guy is a bad dude, and he's the fact that they don't cover it. If this was Donald Trump Jr. or Eric Trump or Laura Trump or Ivanka Trump saying the things that he said, right there, it's in writing. It's not even just I heard that he said something. It's right there. If they had said any one of these things, it would be on the cover of every magazine. It would be on every story. We all know that. We know the hypocrisy of the major media. And that's the real problem with having what used to be a great institution, the press, that was there to make us better by, frankly, being a pain in the rear, right? They poke holes at us. They constantly ask tough questions. They're cynical. I mean, all of those things were healthy to some extent because it made our politicians do better and be better and not do certain things because they knew if that ever came out, it would embarrass them. That doesn't happen right now because the media is so in the pocket of the Democrats and protecting this guy at all costs. They did everything, protected the Hunter Biden and Joe Biden throughout the campaign, and they're going to continue to do it as long as they possibly can. So I don't know what to say about it. It's a sad state of affairs. Watch Newsmax, watch OANN, watch America's Real Voice, watch Victory News. These are the outlets that are telling the truth. These are the outlets that are actually going to the border and showing what's actually the border war that's happening right now. Can you imagine how many people are? I mean, think about how many people are coming across, and how many of those people are not just people wanting to live in freedom in America, but because of the mass numbers we're letting in people that want to destroy America. We're letting the cartels run the show. We're letting horrific things happen to children and women. Anyway, I don't want to go back down that road tonight, but yeah, Hunter Biden is a horrible human being.
I think we can all agree on that.
Yeah.
What about your thoughts about just Pride Month and how Nickelodeon, all the kid channels, even Blue's Clues going full on woke? What's your thoughts?
Yeah, well, it just tells you how far we've fallen as a nation. The whole Pride Month thing, listen, if our nation continues down this road, then either God has to lift his blessing, which I think we're already seeing, off of America, or he's going to have to apologize to Sodom and Gomorrah. And I borrowed that line from Ted Roberts, and I think he's right. But it's the truth. We are celebrating deviancy. This is not even just gay and lesbian anymore. Now it's transgender. It's shaking our fists at God and saying, I don't care how you created me. I'm gonna mutilate my body. I'm going to completely destroy the fact that you created male and female. It's all of these other now letters that they're adding. It's not just LGB. I mean, I can't even keep up with it. But it's becoming some really radical, deviant stuff. Not that homosexuality enough wasn't deviant. I mean, that's just truth. It is a deviation and a deviancy from what God created for male and female. It's not any more of a sin than heterosexual sin outside the bonds of marriage. So let me be clear about that. I think that's where the church maybe messed up for a long time, was we acted like homosexual sin was more of a sin than heterosexual sin and heterosexual sex sin. And so, yeah, I mean, anything outside of the way God created man and woman to be in marriage is sin. But when we celebrate it, when we actually parade it, which is what the whole Pride Month thing is about, when we parade it in front of our children and encourage our children to participate in and celebrate this sin, friends, that is a nation that God cannot bless. It is a cultural problem from the standpoint of the what it does to tear down the nuclear family, to tear down the foundations that make for a good society. So of course I'm not going to say Pride Month is a good thing. Pride Month is a terrible thing. It's bad for our country. It's celebrating things that are wrong. And again, it's not just gay and lesbian anymore. You got to remember, the same people that champion this and want this to be mainstream are also okay with child sex and all of those things. Now, they'll say, you'll have your advocates for the homosexual agenda say no, not only for 18 and older, publicly, because they know that the Overton window has to move further and further before they can finally say, yes, they want to be able to have child sex as well. But when you really dig into the deviancy, if anything goes, anything goes. If there's no right and wrong and there's no standard, anything goes, folks. That's where we're headed as a culture. It's another reason I think you have to have, as Mark Meckler calls it, the great decoupling. You've got a lot of people in this country that want to live like that and want to celebrate that and have no problem with that. And therefore, you're going to have states where that's allowed and they can live like that all they want, and then states where you can choose to live and not have to participate in that. So, yeah, all right. Yeah, by the way, if you're sending your kid to a public school right now where Pride Month is being celebrated and they're teaching this junk in the classroom, you need to really think about where you're sending your kid and what you're subjecting them to. Homeschooling is the answer for that. Now that I've created a lot of content for the left to cancel me on every major social media out there, shall we call it a night?
I think so.
Truth matters, and we will keep speaking truth to power, and we're going to call it like we see it. We're going to speak truth. I hope I spoke truth in love. Don't know how else to do it. Have to say it like Paul. I'm a chief sinner, and we all need a Savior, but we don't change the definition of sin to make people feel better. And we certainly don't encourage people to live in sin so that they can just be themselves, right? We know it's bad for you. If something's bad for you, we should encourage you not to go down that path. But anyway, I don't know. I don't need to go there for too long tonight, but let's just keep speaking truth. Don't run from truth. Don't hide from truth. Don't silence yourself or censor yourself because you're afraid of being canceled. Speak truth regardless. Okie doke. Hey, guys, have a wonderful Father's Day. Have a great time with your family tonight. God bless you. We'll see you next Sunday. We will be on the road next Sunday. No, you know what? I'm sorry. I'll be on an airplane next Sunday, so I will not be able to do a Front Porch Live next Sunday. But maybe we'll do one during Patriot Academy from Idaho. That would be cool, right? Let's plan on that, Rhett. What do you think? Yeah. So we'll do instead of a Front Porch Live, we'll do what can we call that? Front House Chamber Live. No, Side Chamber Live. I don't know. We'll come up with a neat sounding name, and we'll see you next week from the Idaho State Capitol. God bless you guys. Have a great night.